All right, everybody, welcome. We are live today again with John Willis. It feels like I just talked to you a week ago, John. Is that true?
Yeah, we could do this every other day if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. You live stream every night at 9 anyway. Last week we talked, and it was on Thursday before what happened after our talk to Tennessee and Kentucky.
Tornado wrecked us?
Yeah, holy crap. Yeah.
We've had tornadoes and stuff like this in the past, but nothing like this.
Nothing like this. Yeah. Yeah. You remember, like, part of me being linked up with John Willis was after 2020 in May, when the tornadoes came through Cookeville, Tennessee. People couldn't find people from the holler because we didn't have phones. We did not have cell phones. We did not have internet. We did not have power. And I could drive 20 miles in any direction and there was no way to communicate. And he was kind of involved in like, well, what happened to Nicole Sauce? Because the tornadoes were near here. And I think that set a foundation for some people in our network to be a little more strategic about communication. And then, you know, all of the things have happened since then. And now we fast forward to 2021, end of the year, right before Christmas. And we had terrible storms. And what you see in the news right now are people talking about the Amazon distribution center, the candle factory. They're showing pictures. But I don't think it's a very good view of what the devastation really looks like. And I brought my friend Kurt Dugger. Kurt, say hello.
Hello.
Kurt Dugger, for those of you who listen to my podcast, if you've heard the guy talk about paramotoring across the state.
That's that guy.
That's that guy.
Awesome, man. I have drones, so yeah, the aerial footage.
I love anything that flies. Matter of fact, I'm sitting in an aviation shop right now.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. So what happened when the tornadoes were rolling through? Because they rolled through very slowly. Like, this storm was moving west to east. And what was happening where John Willis didn't come here for 4 more hours. Like, I can drive that faster. And so we could see early on that it was terrible and it was coming towards us. And what was going on in the various networks is people were saying, okay, check in when it's past you to let us know you're okay. And then that 200+ mile tornado hit and went right by Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where we live is Union City, Reeves, Tennessee. If you want to find that on the map, Reeves is like population 250. We didn't get hit. We're okay. Everything's good here. But all the way around us, towns got wrecked.
Right. And same thing here.
Trying to describe what it looks like is it's really kind of hard to, because usually when a tornado comes through, you'll have buildings here and there that are destroyed. There are a few houses here and there that get hit. This is, we're talking about entire towns completely gone. Not parts of it.
Yeah, in fact, this guys, this is what this looks like. Let me see if I can get this up here. Kurt sent me a bunch of photos yesterday, and I just told him I don't think I want to spend this whole live stream saying this is what destruction looks like. Yeah. But there you go. Yeah, like, there's a structure left in this picture, but mile-long swatch or wide swatches, from what I understand, are just flat like this with just stuff everywhere.
That was a picture from...
Even that structure might just be the face of it. Like, the other 3 sides of it could very well be gone even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's a picture from Sandburg, Tennessee, which is near Reelfoot Lake here, and it was not what you would call an extremely wealthy community to start with, and it's the entire area for 3 miles wide looks just like that.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah. So we didn't hear back from Kurt until the next morning. Like, we knew something had been close to him. We heard from him the next morning. He was the last person in our network to be accounted for.
I was working down in Florida, so a lot of this stuff happened, and we had no idea until the next day.
Yeah. His first message to me, though, was, I'm in Florida. We're okay. And Kurt's wife works at the fire department. He said, I think she's going to be recovering bodies for days.
That was the initial reports.
How has it turned out to be there, Kurt? And by the way, I see, who is it? James? Yeah. Kentucky got hit harder than Tennessee, I think.
Yes.
Kentucky got hit harder.
Yes. It was actually, as far as that goes for injuries and loss of life, that is looking like it's way better than was initially expected, where you have square miles of 100% destruction, but luckily when it came through late in the night, and a lot of these towns are small towns that kind of close down after dark. So all the businesses are gone, but luckily people were home, and we're used to tornadoes here. So most people have tornado shelters and safe places to go. We did have quite a bit of warning on the storm. So most people did manage to get into shelters. So a lot of people lost everything, but they're alive and they're okay. I want to say in our area, I think we have 3 killed at this point.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's terrible, but it's
like if you look at that picture, like think about that. Only 3 people.
Yeah. And in entire towns gone. We went into Iraq with a battalion of Marines going through towns there fighting a war. And I have never, ever seen a place as thoroughly destroyed down to the last stick as I have here.
Yeah. So, John, what have you been hearing from your people?
Not too much. Like our people, everybody here is okay. Immediately I know we have a customer, a friend of mine that's in Kentucky, and he went silent for several hours. And I had just mentioned it to somebody who had reached out, and he said, what's his, you have a ham contact for him. What's his ham? I said, I don't know. He said, what's his Latin longitude? I said, I don't have that either. He said, can you get a zip code, right? What do you have? So I said, I've got his address, and I gave it to my guy, and he can print out any maps. They do surveying and stuff. So within 2 minutes, he had found a guy who had worked on an air conditioning unit at that property address, reached out to that dude, and had that dude start heading that direction. Now, my guy had 3 or 4 people somehow that had contact. I'm not even clear how he found all these guys in such a short time, and had multiple people going that direction. Before they even got to him, he got back to my messages and said, hey, he's a truck driver. He said, I got in at 7 a.m, went straight to sleep, turned all my volumes off. I'm okay. Like, I don't know anybody personally affected by it. We can't see it anywhere near here. The interstate where you get off the interstate to come here.
Yeah.
Something happened out there that has taken the power out and the water out. And they're saying 30 days.
Wow.
Those major gas stations, those truck stops, they brought in huge generator sets. And as far as I know, they're still not running on their own power. It's not there. But as far as damage, we don't have any, real damage here. We had wind, some stuff blowing around the property. Amanda and I weren't even in town. We were in Chattanooga when it happened.
Yeah. Which is probably a good place to be when it happened.
Yeah.
Well, so I brought us on today in part to hear from on the ground from Kurt, which we will have some more questions about what's happening with cleanup and helping people and those sorts of things. But also, I really wanted to talk about what worked well in our networks, John. So what worked well in my network was that everybody got accounted for and there was communications and check-ins and they knew to do that. And this isn't just in Tennessee, right? This is people in Kentucky, people in Illinois, people just throughout this wide swath of destruction. And that was not something we were doing a year ago. When we talk about underground networking, part of that is learning how and when to communicate with each other. So it sounds like you had the tools you needed to get to your network. What also went well is that we have contacts in disaster relief, right, Kurt?
Yes.
So
been invaluable.
So Kurt and I know each other in part because of my podcast, but back when Hurricane Harvey hit, Kurt and his wife went down to go bring aid to people. Yep. And I was working as dispatch at CAC Team. And so because we have those contacts, we're able to help bring things in. So right now, what are the needs on the ground that you're seeing, Kurt?
Big ones right now are tarps, things like pillows and bedding. And we're still usually after something like this, if it was flooding or a hurricane 3 or 4 days out, you'd start looking at needing cleanup supplies and stuff like that. We're not there yet. So we still need household goods. Big request is body wash and deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrush, all that simple kind of hygiene stuff. That's top of the list right now. we're also bad time of the year, getting close to Christmas, and now we have a whole lot of kids that don't have Christmas trees anymore. So there's also that kind of stuff that's going to be coming up down the road. Really, as far as the biggest needs go, hygiene gear right now. Hygiene gear and easy to prepare food.
Yep. Yeah, I saw a video of a guy who has a mobile food truck who drove in and just served food all day for a day.
What Bear had said, Bear's guys are on the ground right now. They got a third team coming in right now.
Yeah.
And they're moving 8 tons of food with them. They had 8 tons of food on trailers coming in, and they're going to prep meals for 300 people for the immediate responders and the crews. They have another crew coming in, chainsaws and tractors, and just moving big debris. And he said, look, I know we're calling for help, but I know everybody wants to come out, but don't come out here. I have enough mouths to feed already. If you're coming out, bring food. And that doesn't mean, he literally said, don't bring a portobello mushroom and a steak. Bring 100 pounds of pasta and 50 jars of pasta sauce and a plan to prepare 50, meals, 100 meals at a time. That'll make a difference if you want to make a difference. But they go all over the place also, just, kind of like you guys do. What does CAC stand for the people that don't know?
Citizens Assisting Citizens.
Awesome.
The idea that in disasters like this, we think we've outsourced relief to the government, and the government can't handle it.
Yeah.
And really, who could handle it, right? I mean, I'm not a huge pro-government person, but how do you prepare for this? And at this point, the couple of things that tend to happen is larger aid organizations come in and get in the way.
Yep.
And stop
well-meaning people, but
yeah. And they're motivated to help, but they get in the way and create barriers for getting aid to people. And what we have found at Citizens Assisting Citizens, which Living Free in Tennessee tends to partner with them because they have all the logistical infrastructure in place, which is hugely helpful, from communications to linking, loads of stuff with where it needs to go. You find people who are good coordinators of providing aid to people on the ground. Like Kurt is an example of this. He's at an airport hangar right now. If we need to deliver a pallet of supplies, they can handle it. They can keep it dry. What we don't want to do, though, is send him pallets of clothing, which is not what they need at this moment. Yes. Because it takes space of food and hygiene items and tarps. And we are eventually going to need some cleaning supplies and tools and chainsaws and gas to run all that stuff. So you want to talk with somebody like Kurt or somebody else who's there providing aid to people who can tell you, we need 300 meals for people today. We need deodorant. We need body wash. We need stuffed animals and lightweight Christmas presents that can be given to kids who don't have a home anymore. So they have to carry whatever we give them for Christmas with them. This is not where we get the PlayStations out, right? It's any Christmas gift at this point is going to be great for those kids. But think about what would keep a kid engaged and give them comfort at this point, because they've just lost everything.
Yeah.
And so, Kurt, what towns are you finding are organizing the best around you? What are the needs there?
The two I managed to visit yesterday were Sandburg and Kenton. Like Sandburg is, you could just about describe it as a total loss. They have 2 areas on opposite ends of the towns right now that are set up as relief stations. They're collecting supplies and distributing them. One of them is ran by a young lady who's doing a phenomenal job of getting all that organized. Just amazing. The other end is at the one surviving building on the other end of town is a church. So they have some people in there that are doing a good job. They're struggling with the organization side of it a little bit, because that's hard, especially if you've never done it before.
Yep.
In Kenton, that was an area that wasn't hit nearly as bad. That area is pretty well taken care of. They have a Red Cross station set up there. The challenge there is the Red Cross workers are from out of the area, don't know the area, don't really understand where the damage is, and don't have local contacts. That's where we come in, kind of making that happen. So they have quite a bit of supplies sitting there, but they're not sure what to do with it, which is common for big organizations. That's where small teams like CAC and other people work out so great. So we're working right now to not to find different sites to move supplies to, but to find people that need it to take those supplies from one site and put it in their hands. We don't want to get in a situation where we're shuffling from one site to another every day, all day. It's just a waste of resources.
Yeah.
Right now, that's the only two places that I've seen. We had to drive past some of the stuff in Kentucky and around Mayfield and up there, and that's bad. I don't have a person on the ground there yet. I've got some reports from people around there and names of people that need help, but I haven't seen it personally. The Dresden area is also another town that was close to us that also the center of the town got gutted, essentially. A lot of damage outlying, but the courthouse square where most all the businesses were, most small towns are set up the same. You have a courthouse and there's a whole lot of buildings that surround that. Well, the courthouse mostly survived. All the businesses around it are gone. Like you can pretty much stand anywhere in Dresden right now and see the courthouse, which you could not do before. But they have quite a bit of supplies and volunteers moving into there.
Yeah, and that's typical that like bigger towns will get the aid first because it's a little easier to coordinate that. You've got a concentration of people that you can help. And what we have found at Citizens Assisting Citizens is go out of town and find, the grandma with the tree on her house that needs to be cut out that doesn't have anybody to help her. Ben is asking, is FEMA there?
I have not seen
FEMA there
yet. I've seen Red Cross.
Who have you seen, and what's that looking like?
Sorry, say again.
That's okay. You just had a little bit of an internet glitch. Who have you seen there?
I have not seen FEMA. The only kind of government organizations that I have seen were the Red Cross station in Kenton. Outside of that, it's kind of local authorities working it. I know we have a big flight restriction in the area today. The president's supposed to be coming in. I'm hoping that is going to bring some aid. But
okay, so Kurt's cutting out a bit. Kurt, we're going to put you on hold for a second because your internet's having a moment, which is typical. He's near the destruction and things can get weird. I assume that was not just my internet. It could have been my internet too. So John, are you hearing anybody near you organizing aid to go in there?
No, not right here now.
Okay.
And I hear him. I don't hear a break or anything.
Okay, so it was just me. Kurt, go again. I'm sorry. It's probably my internet. I've been having some issues this week. So
I know as far as big outside organizations, I've been to the Red Cross station there in Kenton. That's the only ones I've seen. Everything else is being handled by local authorities or volunteers.
Mm-hmm. And if people want to insert resources, whether it be, donating baby diapers and deodorant or money, what's the best way to link what they're giving to the people who are really there?
Okay, right now, most of the places that are set up are on the edge of overwhelmed with supplies right now. So that's why my boss has volunteered our space as a place to send supplies. If anyone has anything to send, you can get in touch with us. You can get it to the Everett Stewart Airport, and we will keep it warm and dry until we find a place to send it. We're not bringing people in here to distribute from here. We're just holding it here and keeping it safe and secure until we find a place to go put it. I wish I had more detailed, accurate information about that, but I really don't.
Okay, that's enough. I would say this, and I was thinking about your friends who are overwhelmed with just getting the stuff, getting it to people. When you bring things in, if it's baby diapers, deodorant, food, and stuffed animals, become your most OCD friend you've ever met.
Yes.
And organize that stuff in advance, even if it's not as efficiently packed.
Yes.
Because what you do when you do that is you save people time. And what I mean by that is if it's baby diapers, have it not only all diapers in one place, but by size.
By sizes and years, yes.
Yep.
That's one of the challenges with a lot of people wanting to bring in clothes. Clothes are great. People are going to need them, especially going forward, because they've lost everything. But it also creates a challenge, and now you have to go through the clothes and organize by sizes and boys and girls, and that's a big draw on volunteers.
Yeah, if you can do that outside the area and bring it in already sorted, it's a lot easier for them to get the extra larges to the extra larges and the girl clothes to the girl clothes or whatever that looks like.
Yes, if you're gonna bring in hygiene gear, it works out a lot easier for everybody there. If you can, bust it up into kits, get a big Ziploc bag, throw in a toothbrush, some toothpaste, some deodorants, a bag, so that when you take it all to the volunteers, they don't have to spend extra manpower creating that kit. It's already set up, ready to go, and they can get it in the hands of people that need it. Things like that help a lot.
So a good way to help in a situation like this is host a toiletry kit party in your town, far away.
Yes.
And then arrange for that to come as kits. We've got a church just in Allgood where I bought their used church pews to like chairs for my events here. And I walked in and they had all left over from hurricane relief toiletry kits already put together and ready to go. I'll be reaching out to that church to see if they're already filtering that in or if we can help filter that in. And I do know for those of you who are hearing this and live near me, I am taking donations of Christmas gifts, hygiene items, everything that's an immediate need through this weekend. And then I'm going to drive out there next week when I can to start getting supplies from this part of the state there. And at the moment, everything I keep hearing is tarps, hygiene items, which is deodorant, soap, toothpaste, shampoo, feminine products, diapers, all of those sorts of things that you suddenly need that you don't have. You go to the Dollar Tree and get washcloths. You can stuff those in. And wash. The mouthwash is great too. Foods like canned foods that can be heated or just eaten straight out of the can are super helpful right now.
Yeah, pasta stuff like ramen noodles are cheap and it's a lot of calories, which is great, but it's also a challenge to fix when you don't have a way to boil water.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Joshua Sloan on here. Hey, Joshua. He's actually really involved with CAC Team, so he's been really helpful in getting the intel. He located 2 pallets of billboard tarps. You guys know what those are?
Those are fantastic.
Yeah,
those are great.
Billboard tarps are the strongest. John, you see all this going on. What are you thinking?
I don't see some of these comments on here. Like I know you're seeing comments, but I see like 2 or 3 people.
Really?
I feel like this may be not connected to the main page. I don't know if it's on my business page. Usually there's a lot more traffic on it.
Yeah.
I see you 2 guys, and that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, we've got about 30 people watching right now, which is 50 fewer than usual. And my YouTube is not as trafficked as usual, and your Facebook isn't either. But it's streaming in the same place, so I'm not sure why.
Okay.
But hey, guys who are on the stream, like post out on social that we're live because we want to hear your ideas too.
Yeah, there's Joshua Sloan. I'm seeing his comments now. They weren't there when you saw them. There's a delay on here, I guess.
It's all over their social media.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah, it's here. I'm seeing it on mine.
Life supplies.
So maybe they're commenting on the main page.
Around it.
Yeah, that could be.
Those drives and all that stuff.
Ben just shared it to the SOE back page. Thanks for doing that. Oh, Josh Sloan says another thing that's great to bring is wrapped candy.
Full screen. See if there's a...
Yeah, wrapped candy. Josh has been involved in a whole bunch of.
Oh, hey, that works. Go.
Okay.
My boss had to fix my screen. He also. I just got some more information coming in. One of the big businesses down here is doing a toy drive for the kids.
Okay.
So it might be all the donations from outside on that stuff will be great, but I think it might work out better if everybody from the outside focuses more on hygiene and food and that kind of thing.
Hygiene and food. Okay.
If they do toys, if they go there, these people know the local people and go to the individual.
Hey, why don't you just come on screen and tell us?
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey, by the way, my wife and daughters and the owner of a business I worked for 7 years are organizing probably going to be a pretty healthy toy drive. And his business is one of the biggest in our town, not affected at all by the storms. So he is using his business, or his wife is, as the hub for a toy drive. So any toys, all shapes, sizes, whatever, can be delivered there, and they will individually take them to different houses in need and give kids Christmas, pretty much.
Okay, so anybody who drops toys off at my house, I'll bring them there. What's the name of the business?
Vaughn Electric.
VAUGHN?
Yep. It's 313 East Florida Avenue, Union City, Tennessee.
Okay.
You can ship
somebody talk while I'm typing.
You can ship them. You can carry them there yourself. There's people there 8+ hours a day, every day. There you go.
Yeah.
And they're like I said, they'll go to kids in need 100%. So
the great thing about that is they don't know all the people in the community, so it's very easy for them to get stuff where it needs to go. Yeah,
there's 50 employees there, so between all the employees and the families that they know that are affected, they'll all of the kid stuff and toys, that'll all be carried to good places.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll connect with that for sure. I've got some people bringing things to my place this Saturday, so I'll be out there early next week with that.
And all this stuff like the toy drives and the hygiene and food and stuff and what the cleanup is going to be later is awesome now, and it's fantastic. But I think this is going to it's going to take a long time to recover from this. So this isn't like a couple of weeks we're going to have this sorted out.
Yeah, there's going to be like FEMA trailers involved, because there's entire towns gone.
Yeah.
We got to find places for people to live, and people are still going to need those supplies. You're talking about not only are people homeless, but they've lost all their income. All that's got to be rebuilt too.
Yeah, Josh says fuel and fuel gift cards are needed for generators and vehicles.
Yeah. Are the gas stations still up?
Yeah.
Yep. The ones that are still there.
Yeah. That's one nice thing about this is the towns that are affected are destroyed, but the towns outside of the area are mostly untouched.
Good.
Yeah, Michael mentions leather work gloves are the highest demand clothing item after tornadoes. I got a basket of gloves I can bring out there that are brand new.
The nice thing about those is you don't really have to sort out a whole lot of different sizes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so John, after seeing all this stuff go on, are you thinking of any changes that you would make in your network? Or
when you who are you asking, me?
Yeah, John Willis.
Like I wasn't prepared for that, right? I didn't have that info. I'm just super lucky that I spoke to Dean, and Dean was able to get that information together. And then network, right? I guess I don't really have a network that I belong to. I mean, I have us here and then people that we speak to, but I don't have any planned network, right? There's not a group. Like our group of people is pretty much here where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So we're all immediately affected. But I don't know, maybe in the back page or something, we should probably, for the people that we communicate with on a regular basis, have that information. What is your lat longitude? What is your area code? What is your immediate zip code? Without us having, because we have it as a customer database, right? We compile it as a database for shipping. But if this computer wasn't with me at the time, we wouldn't have been able to access that, or if the cellular service was down. So just stuff like that. I mean, and every time there's one of these storms, we talk about shelters after the fact, but there's still not a shelter here. There's not a cut in the concrete. There's not one out here in the bank out here. So, I mean, that needs to be addressed all the time. The day before this happened, 2 days before, we were at a storm shelter place. I was out there flying drone footage of it, and we've, spoken to them about putting a shelter in. And then, the next weekend, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's super easy and on your mind when it happens, but there's still nothing here. And we've been on this. I've been here in this town for 15 years, and we still don't have a shelter here. Like personally, us.
Yeah. How long do you think till you get one in at this point?
Oh, I don't know. Probably another 6 years, 10 years. I don't know. Who knows?
Where's home for him?
He's in Camden, Tennessee.
Camden.
Okay.
Yeah, not far from you. Yeah, Josh is saying, does anybody have porta potty company contacts? John, I bet you do.
Well, there's local ones here. Yeah.
That's what he means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know of one too, but he's a small porta john kind of guy, so he may have all of his 24 that he owns already divvied out. I could see him doing that because he's really close to Sandburg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people come to clean up, they need to pee somewhere. So
yeah.
You might not always want all that waste right there after a disaster. That's how we get cholera.
Yeah, there's enough of that already. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So John's saying there's a map at TAC Response.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a way y'all can network. We should do a big old storm shelter workshop at your place.
That's a good idea.
At whose place?
Yours.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we've talked about putting a shipping container in the ground, so we can put more bodies in there.
Yeah.
Everybody
Hopefully
has the
alive.
idea. Huh?
Hopefully alive.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has the idea that they're going to put this shipping container in the ground and bury it, but that's amplifies a million other problems.
Yeah.
Done it.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, don't you have to shore that up so they don't collapse?
You have to shore up the sides and the roof.
Yeah.
You can't bury a shipping container.
Yeah.
You end up burying the shipping container and then you pour concrete. And by the time you're done doing it, you might as well have just built it out of concrete and block.
Yeah.
Or bring one in. I mean, there's companies that you can get a 4-person, you can get a 6-person, you can put it in ground, you can put on ground, there's in concrete, there's all kinds of stuff. It really is just budget. It's just whatever your budget is.
Yeah, I've got friends who have built concrete dome homes.
Mm-hmm.
So because they want basically the tornado tends to not rip those out.
Yeah, we were pretty fortunate when the wife and I were shopping for a house. That was a requirement because she's very scared of thunderstorms. So our house has a 10 by 10 tornado shelter in the floor of the garage, so you don't even have to go outside.
Yep.
If I'm at work,
Slide lift.
Yeah, her and the kids can go out in the garage, on the lid, go down in the tornado shelter, and it's registered. All the fire departments around know about it because if the house falls on it, you're stuck. You're there.
Right.
And that did happen to a few people.
Yeah, they've got the slide door ones, and inside they have a crank that'll actually lift up a lot of the debris.
Yeah, mine don't have that. And my parents put in a 30-yard roll-off packer box, like almost like a shipping container, if I was describing it quick like. And I helped my dad put that in the ground. That was a job.
Is that made for as a storm shelter, or does that start life as something else?
So I don't know if this one or this kind of looks yurty, but it's this shape made out of concrete, like aircrete or concrete, and it's designed to resist tornadoes and other problems. And so I have some friends, we could totally get them on to talk about why they did it, how much it will resist, and they're built in Tornado Alley, and in this way they don't have to go into the ground. But to put one of those in, of course, because banks don't recognize that as a house, you're doing that with your own capital. You're not getting a loan on that house. And when you go to sell that house, somebody's buying it with cash.
And then you have the house like in Dresden, the igloo house, that's different. And who wants that? I mean,
I mean, to some extent, we need to let go of our square little perceptions, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
If Mother Nature is going to do this, can we do something to be safer during this thing, whether or not the building codes say your house has to be square and studs are this far apart and all of that. A lot of that framework keeps us from innovating, and dome homes are just something I've been keeping an eye on because they're also very they're easier to climatically control.
They're energy efficient.
I'm going to bet as things get rebuilt, you're probably going to see a lot of different kind of construction in this area.
It's a shop house area. They go together fast. So I think if the people that build back will build something fast, probably.
Yeah. So Justin's saying, I know Sandburg was run over with supplies this morning and shipping to other locations. I'm in Mayfield and was asking if they needed anything delivered in the area. This just goes back to, if you're going to bring stuff in, have a local contact.
Yes.
Because they will say we need tarps, and next thing you know, they have more tarps than God, and now they need something else.
Yes.
Food. Who knows what it'll be?
Right.
It's going to change every single day.
Yeah, if you're going to bring stuff in, I highly recommend taking the extra time to do some groundwork and planning and make contacts in the area first. to try to get it as close as you can to put it in the actual hands of people that need it.
Yep. And I know that you can reach out to CAC Team. Just cacteam.com is their website, and they are working their best to gain intel like from people like Kurt, and to connect donations of supplies with people on the ground so that they're not just put in a storage unit somewhere till the next crisis.
Yeah, we're here 8+ hours a day. We got cameras. We got 25,000 square foot of space around here. We can stuff stuff. So send it here. We'll hang on to it until it's needed.
Yeah. So Kurt, how does this compare to hurricane relief in your opinion?
It's a different kind of challenge. With hurricane relief, you see mostly flooding damage, not as much wind and not as much total complete destruction. You'll have a house here or there that's gone, but for the most part, all of the houses you're looking at are a lot of water damage, which means that you bring supplies in for people. It's rough, but at least for the most part, they have some place to go back to. They have a house to start working on. They can start tearing out sheetrock. They can, worst case, you can throw out cots and you can sleep in your house that used to be flooded if you have to, things like that. Here, there's nothing. It's just gone.
I'm wondering where the people are going to go. I mean, it's not like they can stay in a house without power. If there's no house.
And that's another challenge that we're facing is a lot of the places that this has happened. The people that live there that no longer have a house have kind of scattered to friends and family and anywhere else they can go. So we also know that there are a lot of people that need help, but they're not in the areas that have been destroyed. They're staying with friends, relatives all over the state and in other states. So we're trying to track some of those people down. So a lot of the overwhelming supply problem that we have here, if we can, we're going to pack as much of that as we can and start shuffling it to those people who are staying on a friend's couch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different set of challenges from hurricane and flood relief.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it. And this is a much bigger scale than what we dealt with in Cookeville in 2020. Like by a week after that, we had a pretty good idea who was where and what was rebuilding versus just cleanup.
Yeah, has it already been called the largest or longest running tornado? Is that official?
I think it was something like 266-mile ground track.
I think that was official the night it happened, wasn't it?
So it's such a big deal that the government has hired a surveying agency, and they've been landing here at the airport getting gas for the past couple of days, and they're mapping the entire thing out. And there's probably a documentary about it on TV. And
it's destruction on a scale that nobody around here has ever dealt with, for sure.
No, we get tornadoes, a couple of years seems like, but this is crazy.
Which means all the supplies that are flooding in now are awesome, but things we have to be cautious with is the stuff that's coming in. We got to keep it organized, and we're going to have to stay on top of everything as needs change, because it's realistically, we're probably going to be asking for help for another year or so.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll have a second wave of what we can get from the network in January or February, when like the bleeding is stopped.
Yeah.
And then we can assess what wounds are there.
January, February is when it gets cold. So we were talking about clothing and sizes of clothing, or I was listening to y'all talk about that. But as we progress into the next several months, it's going to turn into needing bibs and jackets and that kind of stuff.
Well, and as people get shelters, they're going to need sofas and beds and sheets and all of that stuff, pots and pans. And
light bulbs. And
maybe we can make a contact with Lodge and see if Lodge can donate some of their factory seconds or something. Like those are the calls. So people who are far away and don't know how to help, sometimes we need people to make calls like that.
Yes.
Are you brave enough to call Lodge and say, hey, we've got 5 families that need pots and pans. Can you hook them up? Because a lot of companies will do that.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
They will. Contacted Ashley. We've had great success with hotels giving us like hotel size things for toiletry kits or sheets they were about to get rid of, because they'll get rid of sheets when they still have usefulness. Somebody doesn't have sheets isn't going to be sad that it used to be at Best Western for half a year or so.
Yeah. Or the mattresses when they swap them out.
Yeah.
Did Did this pick up foundations and slabs? Like, did it take concrete out?
No, I don't really know. You can't tell.
Yeah,
It's
you
such
really
a,
can't
it's such
tell.
a war zone. Looks like a bomb went off and everything like just piled up and messy that it's hard to tell.
The only places to move are the places where bulldozers have cut trails, which is another thing. If you're going into the area, bring a tire plugs.
Yeah.
And boots. Don't be walking around outside in tennis shoes and poking holes in your feet with rusty nails and stuff.
Yeah. Work boots. Do you need to bring extra gas, or are you pretty much able to gas up?
You can gas up out of the affected areas.
Sandburg, I don't think you can. And Sandburg has like 2 gas stations across the street from each other. So it's a 20-minute drive to the next closest gas station.
So come in full?
Yes, come in full for sure. If you can, come in fuel and carry in a few extra cans, because they are having some challenges getting enough gas shift in there to run all the generators. That's what all their relief efforts are based on, is all the generators that showed up.
Mm-hmm. Do you have enough generators there, or more people needing them?
I think they're okay there. I haven't had a lot of people asking for that. Just the fuel to run them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, near John Willis, they're going to go 30 days without water or power.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that?
Yeah, exactly.
Could you guys do it right now?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hard.
Mm. Willis, are you ready to go 30 days with no water or fuel? I expect him to say yes.
We'd like to say yes. Figure out some way to do it, but
I could do water and electricity 30 days, but fuel,
be hard.
I don't know. Probably could, but it would. The fuel part would suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. After Katrina, people just moved away.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. I went to Katrina.
One of the big challenges in Sandburg right now is Sandburg kind of lives off the lake there. It's called Roofwood Lake, and they make most of their money off of tourism, surprisingly, which in the summertime, it's all fishing and a lot of fishing guide service, canoe trips, stuff like that. This time of year, it's big. It's a huge duck hunting draw.
Massive. People fly in here and take a car down there to duck hunt.
Yeah. People will spend thousands of dollars a week to come down here and duck hunt. And now a lot of those people are looking to get reimbursed for the Airbnbs they rented that don't exist anymore.
Or their lodge where they run their duck hunting guide business out of, that's gone.
Yeah. So that's where this area where they might make 60% of the total income of the year might come in within this month and next month.
Yep.
And it ain't coming now. That's going to be a long-term challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. We're stunned into silence by that one, Kurt.
Well, it's sad that that town of Sandburg, Kurt and I grew up just down the road from it. I've spent the bulk of my life hunting and fishing on that lake. So I can see the economy right there. And to know that some of those guys barely make it to the next duck season because they make their living for December and January guiding duck hunting. And then they're barely going to make it financially to the next duck season. Well, this is just the start. We're a couple weeks into December here.
Yeah,
they're not gonna make it through the season to be able to survive for the next full year on finances. No. So they're going to be a year behind financially at least.
Yeah, and
they couldn't afford to build another house if they wanted to. These are just spirited guys out there carrying people duck hunting, and
they're very resilient people. They're very self-sufficient people.
That's
but
true.
They are not. You don't see a whole lot of disposable income down there. They take care of each other. They have a good support network, but right now that entire support network has been destroyed.
Yeah, 25-year-old vehicles and wore out hunting gear.
But those folks typically aren't going to have homeowners insurance either. A lot of them are just living in properties already. Like there's nothing more coming for them.
Well, they're living in $25,000 houses.
Right. The sheds and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. And they will bounce back.
Yeah. Yes, they will. They
will. Yeah.
That's the thing.
It's just not going to be solved in a week.
Well, I wanted to bring everybody together here to talk about how we provide aid in a free society. Because a lot of times people don't think about what that looks like if you don't have a big governmental arm reaching in and providing paycheck protection money, which is not happening here.
No.
There may be some disaster relief that can be applied for, but I know after the Waverly flood that was near John Willis, people's homeowners insurance wouldn't cover it. FEMA wouldn't cover it. TEMA wouldn't cover it. And they were down to those concerts where money was raised and that money went to people. That was what they depended on.
Yeah.
And there will probably be more aid coming in for the tornado from the government, but how do we help like long term in a disaster like this as free citizens who actually believe that we should not depend on government for everything?
Long-term plans, short-term plans, you have people stepping up and doing things like you're doing now. You have businesses like Vaughn Electric and a lot of other businesses handling that. Long-term, I don't know what the long-term big picture private version of FEMA looks like that actually functions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the challenge, to replace something like that in a situation where you want to have everything based on individual freedom and you don't want a big government bureaucracy running it. The answer has to be lots of small organizations, not big ones, I think.
Well, how'd they do it in San Francisco after the catastrophic earthquake?
Which one?
The one a long time ago. I can't remember what year it was, but
well, that's how Reelfoot Lake was made. I mean, when the Mississippi River ran backwards, that caused the Reelfoot Lake right there. That's the same area. And there wasn't such oversight. I mean, people came together because the big part of San Francisco was San Francisco burnt down.
Yeah.
And the San Francisco
mudslides, right? Right,
mudslides, it burnt down, but it was people that just came together. I don't know that there was a lot of aid back then, from outlying areas.
Mm-hmm.
Things are different. I mean, I feel like FEMA is just a money laundering scam for the most part. They do come in and do some things, but I mean, like over in Waverly, for instance, right now, I'm in some local groups on social media, and there's a big outcrying right now that I think the Titans put $200,000 into rebuilding one of the high school stadiums so they can play football, but you still have people who are sleeping on cots in the VFW. So Titans decided to give that money. I mean, who's to say where that money gets spent? But I mean, the graft off the top of that, do you think that, well, and I mean, you're going to have low income people at the same time, you're going to have higher income people. But do you think the governor's house do you think the mayor's house over there is going to sit untouched, or do you think it's going to be, put back together first? And it did that. Where did the money come from? Who knows? But I feel like a lot of that money that gets donated to big organizations, it's just stolen. It doesn't go to the end person.
Yeah, the answer to that is you got to have people who are going to take individual responsibility, and everybody involved step up and do whatever small thing they can. However, it doesn't matter if you don't have to be the person that solves the whole problem by yourself.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is find an organization that you feel is right in your gut. When all the money, look how much money, just watch this over the next 6 months. How much money is Red Cross going to raise from these tornadoes? And how much money is Red Cross going to go in there and actually fucking put in that community? Because it's not going to. Less than 10%
John's here
of
to
the
say all
funds
the things
raised.
that I'm trying not to say.
What?
That's why we have John. No, John. He said he's glad you're saying the things he's not willing to say right now.
It's like the president's coming in 2 days, whatever. Which fucking president's coming? Because Trump, I heard, has already been fucking there at the tornadoes. Where is the president currently?
Yeah, no, Biden's planning to come out.
What do you mean?
Right now, he's coming in and kind of hampering operations by all the security required for him being in the area.
The one that all the envelopes that were sent into the mail elected is in Mayfield right now.
How many of you guys have gone into aid and been prevented from coming in? Like when we were trying to go across the bridge, by the time we heard about the flooding, a couple hours later, we started running that direction, and there's a fan boat in front of us, and they turned him around and sent him back. Like they weren't letting guys come in with fan boats to help.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And that was just a couple hours after the flooding. Like there were still dudes in houses floating down the streets.
Yeah. Hat says, look for organizations who partner directly with the local organization, churches and charities. The more local you can get, the better.
Yes.
Absolutely.
When you're looking to help. Something I've been thinking of though, because when I think about how do we do this, I think like, how have we done it in the last 20 years? Hasn't worked. So I'm not going to look at that. I look much further back, but there is one program that does a pretty good job of getting a long-term hand up, not hand out to people who need housing. And that's Habitat for Humanity, where what you need to do is go volunteer for 40 hours helping build somebody else's house. I think it's 40. It might be 400. I don't know. There's 4 in there. I'm great with numbers. And then over time, you qualify to build your house and you get your house. And the brilliance of that program is that you're building a house, learning how everything works, and then you end up with your house. And if something breaks, do you know how to fix it? Yep. So can we, does Habitat for Humanity ever come in for rebuilding? I don't know, but we can do the same thing. It's little things like that can be build one person's house and then they help build the next person's house and then they help build the next person's house.
We have churches up the road and the entire parking lots at the churches are full of mobile homes, construction trailers. They have equipment in there. Looks like it's a Kubota dealership. And it's a private company. I don't know where they came from. They're not from the state. All these churches are full of these groups that have just come in to do that. And that's what, like Bear Independent has a ministry. I can't remember the name of his ministry, but basically they're a construction ministry. And that's what they do. They just respond to disasters and they bring in dudes with chainsaws and they bring in a construction equipment and they just get shit done. They just do it all day long. And they bring their own guys to feed people and they just put it together. And they just have people donating all year long for when this happens. And they do it on a pretty significant level. Like he's got a really good YouTube channel. You can kind of see it. That's why I sent you the link, just because there's probably some idea in there that can be implemented into this.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to be thinking about food long term. We were thinking about coming out and bringing coffee actually right after the hurricane. I was going to send her out of Kurt's house. And then I talked, churches already had that set up. I was like, by the time I drive 3 hours to get there, do you need coffee? The answer was no.
Yeah.
So, a lot of those, there's a lot of ways we can help. I didn't actually come on here to ask for money for any particular organization. I just really, I know people hear these stories, want to help, and I want to encourage you to get with people like Kurt or local churches on the ground or CAC team or anybody if you're going to help and get some intel before you go in, if you go in physically. And if you're going to donate money, give it to not one of these huge organizations. Find somebody who's really like filtering money that comes in the door to the people who need the help.
Find a local church and ask them specifically how and where they're spending their money, or a local business or a local somebody that lives there. Those are the people that are invested in the community. They're going to make sure it gets where it needs to be. Around here, the church has got a pretty good roster. Even if it's not a member that attends that church, it's just a friend of a family of a friend of a family, or however, that know that person has needs financially. Yeah. So the churches are a good place to divvy up money. Local
which denomination does not matter right now. And the churches themselves don't care when they're providing aid. They just want to help people. It's not like, oh, you're not a member of our church, we won't help you. That's never how I've seen that go down. Yeah. So Josh is saying, can you offer to foster lost pets? That's a thing. I've got a friend with a Hurricane Harvey dog that's scared of anything that like is a fan and twists, interestingly enough. That could be a need, and it's probably going to be a bit of a need. But from what I'm understanding, it's a lot less than you would expect, unfortunately. Pets are gone. People that grabbed their pets and took them in the shelter. They have them, but outside of that, they have them.
Yeah, we saw all the horses and horse trailers that were deceased.
Pets and livestock are gone.
Yeah, cows half a mile away from where they were.
Yeah.
So there is going to be some need for that, I'm sure, but I haven't heard a lot of it. A lot of people are asking for it right now.
Okay, great. Well, do y'all want to say anything before we sign off?
No, I'd like to say thank you for all the people that have helped. You guys are amazing. And even the tiny little things that people think really don't matter are making a huge impact down here. So thank you for that.
John, what are your thoughts?
I'm just here for the audience. I don't have a whole lot of input. This is kind of out of
your bailiwick?
Yeah.
Well, I do want to say thanks for sharing your audience with us, because I think that's a huge thing for people to do too, is get the word out to folks who are seeing this from afar and don't know how to help. Now they know how to help. And I thank you for doing that, John, and for making time in the middle of the day when you should be producing everybody's Christmas presents at your factory. I'm sure you've got some orders in right now, and we'll be out next week, Kurt, to deliver some stuff. And I think Tactical's driving out tomorrow with tarps. So thanks everybody for making time, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.